Oh, it's so good to see everyone. It's so great to see everybody with daylight streaming into their windows. It's so nice to be together. I'm Ariella Mortwitz, the founding director of SVIVAH. I'm going to talk very, very little. I just want to say hi and welcome. It is so good to see everybody. I am so, so grateful to be doing this together. Naama Sadan is our amazing teacher for today, who I love with my whole heart. She introduced me to this beautiful new way of teaching. And I'll let her explain how she's going to teach and what she's going to teach in a second, but I am so grateful because it opened my eyes and just I'm going to go so far as to say my soul this early on a Monday morning to a different way of learning and a different way of feeling and a different way of connecting both to the content that is being taught and to the people with whom I am learning and to my teacher. So Nana, thank you so much for all of this. I'm so glad that you brought us here like this, particularly for the concept behind why you wanted to bring us together with this regularity, with this just short opportunity to start our week together. I think when we started doing some Havdalah opportunities together to end Shabbat and start our week and move into the new week together, it just felt so right and it felt so good to connect in that way. And so having this opportunity to start our week together in a way with intention and with each other and with community really it feels so right. So I'm so glad that all of you joined us today too. I just want to remind us really quickly how we gather at SVIVAH, just to remember that we are here to hold each other, to come together gently and with compassion, to make sure that this is a space where we hold each other's feelings sacred and secure, to always remember to treat each other with respect and with kindness and with generosity of spirit, the same that we would want in return for ourselves. Because this is a time-sensitive space, we recognize that everybody has lives and days to get back to. We're going to try very hard to stay connected with each other, especially in the chat. So if you want to switch over to your computer to make sure that you can access your chat and be able to talk and participate in that way, that would be great. Naama also would love us all to have a drink, something to just start our day with, be with each other with, and a pen and a paper. And I am going to also add the link in the chat to the WhatsApp group that goes along with this series so that you can share it with someone else who might want to be part of this, because we're going to put the recording from today and all of our subsequent sessions into that WhatsApp group. And it's a space for us to stay connected in that way. And so if you miss any of this, or if you have to hop off to something, please, by all means, make sure that you're part of the WhatsApp chat. I'll send it out again. And make sure that you all have it. So make sure that you join that WhatsApp. And I am just going to stop talking and leave it all to Naama. Thank you so much for bringing us together today.
Thank you, Ariel. Hey, hello, everyone. Really good to be together this morning. So as Ariel said, I always like to open Zoom with something to drink, a pen and a paper. It's just my practice to remember when I'm in Zoom that I have a body. So if you want to do it in a different way, please do it in a different way, but just pay attention. Let's pay attention to our body as we're walking in. This is the first class in a series of 4 classes between Purim and Pesach. And the goal of these classes or gathering is to learn together Torah that can anchor us. And we're going to learn together from different teachers, but we're going to start with my own favorite, Yemima Avital, who really, her teachings gave me such a sense of grounding and stability over the last 13 or 14 years. And I hope to share some of that with you too. So before doing the work, and Yemima's teaching are designed also to be embodied, and this is why we are using pen and paper. No digital era here. She talked a lot about the importance of the words going through our body. So listening, hearing, letting them go through the body and writing. There's some dictation that we're doing, which is not so much an analysis kind of action, but just like letting words go through us. And words, she said, have energy. And I think we feel it. There are words that really speak to us. I don't know, for some people, the word vulnerability is really, you can feel that it's like feathery, that there's something very gentle and maybe fearsome and maybe other things. And each one of us with different words, we have like energy that is in that word, and we're working with words here in this space. So before doing the work, the first step um, is really to make space for the words. So to make space is a very important part of the learning, and for me, of any time to try to anchor. Sometimes it's just all the overwhelm that not doesn't allow us to just be in one place. So I would love to start with two questions, and we're going to use the chat mostly because we are here as an in and out. It is the beginning of the week. It is Monday morning for some of us here in the West Coast. And um, yeah. So my first question to you, if you can just take a moment, and this is just for the chat. In a moment, we'll also do check in on the paper. Um, what is Monday morning generally for you? Just want to get like the sense of what is it? Sometimes I feel like we have very different ideas about stuff. So, what does Monday morning feel like to you? Hey, I see potential, responsibilities, chaotic, beginning. Hello, Los Angeles. Yeah, a blessing of life, a head shift into my work persona. Yep. Tired, Monday morning, fresh start, early, strong, scary transition, a shift of scheduling. Okay, getting back to order after Purim. That was a big one. A rush, a shift, trying to save some to reflect, prioritize my mental to-do list, beginning, anxiety, potential. I'm stay-at-home mom, it's all the same. Um, frenetic work. Okay. So clearly, I'm gonna read everything, of course, and thank you for your words. Um, overwhelmed sometimes too, spill over from the weekend, sometimes new to happen. Um, clearly there are different Monday mornings here, but I think for most of us, Monday morning is a transition. And a transition can be a confusing place. At least it is for me. Monday mornings for me are really hard. When I lived in Israel, Sunday mornings were really hard. I just feel like when I get into Shabbat, I'm getting into a different type of mode. And then Motzei Shabbat, I'm always like, what? What was I working on Friday? Like, where was that? It takes me time to move between these places. Um, so thank you so much for sharing. We are going to take now 1 minute to check in with ourselves. This is the question we always start with. What is moving in me? And what do I need to leave at the threshold of this sacred space that we're walking into before I'm walking there? What do I need to make space? So whatever it is, if like I fought with someone in the morning, or if I ran back and forth, or if there's something I'm worried about, or if I'm trying to plan an event, everything, just put it on the paper. It will wait for you until after our meeting, but let's just take a minute to do that. And you are also welcome to just check in what's moving in me. Again, we're just trying to make space. So to make space, first of all, we're just paying attention to what's in and allowing it out through our hand. I'll call you back in a minute.
Can you repeat the instruction? I think it went a little fast for some of us whose brains are struggling with Monday.
Sure. Yeah. The question is, what is moving in me? And the instruction is basically whatever's happening that you want to leave at the threshold of this space, take a moment to just check in with yourself and write it down on the paper for it to wait for you until after class. And you can just check in with yourself. That's, of course, great too. But the question is, what is moving in me? And I'll call us back in a few seconds at this point. Thank you for asking. Okay, let's take a few more seconds to wrap up. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I just feel like for me also music is something that really kind of like puts me back to place. And Yemima used to start a lot of her classes with music. She said that it helps getting closer to the teder. The teder, how do you say teder? Anyone has the word for teder? Um, how do you call that thing that you're getting your radio on? There's a teder.
Antenna?
Signal.
Signal. Frequency, exactly. Frequency is the
Oh,
word.
frequency. Yeah.
So, she said that music is something that is very helpful to get back to the frequency. And what is that frequency that we're talking about? This frequency is really that most basic quality that is always there, available to us. And we're trying to get back to it. And that's the frequency that we're always talking about, that we'll talk about in every class, and we'll talk about today too. So thank you for doing a little bit of check-in. If you want to drop a word of where you are in the chat, please do. And here's a few words about why I wanted to start this class. So as I said, it's really hard for me to transition into the week many times. And it's even harder for me when in the last year and a half when the news are so crazy. So to go out of Shabbat for me when I'm not using my phone into the week and suddenly to get back almost like kind of like a sugar overwhelm of news that are always so frantic, whatever it is that overwhelms you, whether it is wherever it is that you are on the political map, I think there's a fair share for everybody of very, very intense news all the time. And I feel that in an economy that takes away our attention, right? This is the currency that we're paying now. Everybody just wants our attention on the screen a little more. Really taking our attention back is an act of agency. We want to take it back and to pay attention to how we feel in the beginning of the week and set an intention and action for the week to come. And to do it in community, of course, is the most wonderful thing in the world that we can do. So we are paying attention. That's what we do here. This is not a place to innovate or to, I don't know, all these things of the world of go fast or accelerator. This is a decelerator. Okay, really to pay attention, really to our breath. If all you did in coming to this space is just to breathe with yourself and write with yourself, Dayenu, that's great. So because this is the first class, I do want to say a few words of introduction of why I chose the texts that we're working with. Um, so there are three things that people do to cope, change, and adapt in times of crisis. My other work, when I'm not in SVIVAH, which is my favorite place of work, is that I'm working in the field of environmental policy, and we deal a lot with sense of overwhelm, people feeling overwhelmed by climate change, or at least their understanding of climate change. And a model that I really love helped me understand that when we feel overwhelmed, we cope, change, and adapt in times of shock with three things. We do three things. We act, we engage emotionally, and we distance. Now, these things we can do in an unhealthy way. For example, we can act in a way that is not good for us. We can distance ourselves in a way that we're like totally detached from ourselves and from reality. And we can engage in a way that really causes us anxiety. But these three categories are also true if we want to use it in a way that is helpful. So action, of course, can be an action, a collective action or a personal action that gives us more agency. For example, paying attention is an action, in my opinion. Um, Distancing in a way that is not bad, but actually that is rejuvenating, that is a self-care, right? To just walk back for a moment. I don't hear news now for 24 hours. Can be like an example, or I need to take 5 minutes to drink coffee without talking to anyone. Like, so distancing in a healthy way and emotional engagement, again, in a healthy way, to pay attention. What am I even feeling? What's going on with me? And how do I get back to grounding of emotions? So our goal really in designing, like thinking of what we're going to learn together was this, that we're going to act by coming together. We're going to engage emotionally because this is the work that Yemima offers. And hopefully that will also be a step back from Monday morning, the time of most engagement in the world for some of us, so that we can just do a little bit of self-care. So I want to start with sharing two teachings, very short teachings, from Yemima. As I mentioned, if you learned with me, you heard about it in your past. If not, we will send in the WhatsApp group and maybe in an email a great article from Yael Unterman about Yemima Avital. But she was a teacher from Morocco originally, lived in Israel, died in 1999, and was very beloved healer. And tens of thousands of Israelis are very engaged in learning her Torah. And for me, I'm going to start with two teachings that are more personal, and then I'm going to move to two teachings that are more about being part of like a nation at this point in our life, which I find very touching and helpful in the last months. So I said the word frequency. Thank you for whoever helped me to find the word. Thank you very much. And I'm saying that because really Yemima's taught many, many times that the whole work is just to remember to go back to frequency. All the work is to remember. We are living a forgetful life. We constantly forget that we have a soul inside. This is an amazing thing. And that we have a frequency inside. And that frequency is felt by other people and felt by ourselves. And that we can do things to go back to that frequency and calm it all the time. And all the work is remembering. The work is not about innovating. You don't have to innovate yourself. You're already good. Yemima said that many times. She said all the time, you're already good. No need to become good. You don't need to improve. You don't need to fix. Your mistakes are good. Everything is okay. There's a work of remembering. There's a work of coming back and really just she called it hitkarvut, coming close to yourself, being intimate with yourself, giving warmth to yourself. And by doing that, you will also be more able and available to give warmth to others. That is the work. This is very simple work. All the work sometimes can be like a dichotomy of like not turning away from yourself when things are overwhelming, but turning towards. That's just like, in a way, all the work. And the work, she calls it regesh klape hakiyum, emotion towards your kiyum. That's the word. Existence, exactly. Emotion towards your existence, just like warm emotion towards your existence. The same that you have when you see a small child that is very sweet and you're like, wow, it exists. Just, or when you see a little plant starting to grow. But to remember, you also are alive. You also are alive. And I chose two sentences from her that speak about spirituality because I love her understanding of spirituality and how to go back to that spirit within us. So let's do some writing. Okay, so I'm going to dictate um, two very short teachings. Okay. Prayer, and I'm writing with you. Prayer is the tailwind blowing in the sails of mending and growth. This growth is not all on you. And the second teaching, be a simple and happy worker. Simply remove all pretensions and demands to be someone else. To be spiritual is to be who you are. We'll take one moment and please just highlight words that speak to you and or insights that come to you from this teaching. Yemima taught that when she gives a teaching, it always goes through the individual person, and your insights are your new Torah. So if you have a word that speaks to you or an insight that comes to you, please share it in the chat. And I'll call us back in about a minute. Hey. So let's wrap up. And if you still want to add something in the chat, please do. Thank you. Thank you so much for your words. I read them and I feel rejuvenated too. Prayer is the tailwind. Prayer is the tailwind. Be who you are. Simply remove pretensions and demands to be someone else. I wish we had much more time to unpack it, but the time that we have is exactly perfect. So please walk with these words this week. And there's a WhatsApp group where you can share more of your insights and really give everybody the pleasure of hearing them. I see that our time is a little short. Ariel, we're gonna just steal 5 more minutes and then I know that everybody needs to start their day. I just want to say a short part of what I was planning from about a more kind of like collective teaching, and we will go on next week. So just that I think that in these last 2 years, and again, no matter where you are on the political map, everybody is disturbed by something. Um, Many of us were shocked to remember that we're not just individuals. That was also another thing, that we're part of a bigger thing. I think, especially living here in diaspora, I live in America only 7 years. Some of you probably live here your whole life. But to be a Jew here means that your identity is not always, Jew is not always the first thing in your identity. Sometimes it's other things. And to be really um, drawn back into that collective identity is a big thing. And especially for anyone who's not wearing this on their sleeve. And it's just an interesting thing. And I ask myself a lot, what is the spiritual work to do with that consciousness of being part of like Am Israel, the people of the book, I don't know, however you call Am Israel. And I looked at Yemima and trying to find like teachings from her. She speaks so much about the individual. It's very important for her to do an individual work. She thinks that it's a very important spiritual work. She doesn't speak so much about like Am Israel or like the people of Israel as like a unit. She speaks about the individual a lot. But then I did find few teachings, and it was very fascinating to me that the teaching that I found, and I didn't have a plan with Ariel yet. That was last year when I was finding this teaching, um, was a teaching that was an introduction to Pesach. So we are just coming up to Pesach, right, in 4 weeks. Um, and in that teaching, she spoke about how there is not, there's so much that we can do in our personal life, as we just read, right, with the prayer and just with remembering that we're exactly good and paying attention and turning back. And she said that work is also work that we have to remember is actually has an impact beyond us. Um, she says that our souls reverberate with our souls around us. And she says the work of every person personally is to do that work so that her frequency is in the right place, and that has impact on the people with which she lives, and that in then that has impact beyond on on the people or the extended family that you're coming from. And then it was pretty crazy, but like last week I went to this lecture on, thank you, um, on ritual in that was part of my work where of this new project, and this guy was talking about ritual and why it's important. And he said that when he started his work, he worked with people who walk on fire. Okay, it's a ritual somewhere. I don't remember where it is. And when he interviewed the people, they said to him, we feel like our heart beat together. He asked them, why is it important for you to be part of this ritual? Why are you doing something that is painful? And they said, we feel like our heart beats together. So he said, okay, let's check if their hearts actually beat together. So he put little heart measurement devices, wearables on people, and tested what was going on um, throughout the ritual. And here's something that kind of like blew my mind, which is actually it's true that your heart beats in synchronicity with someone else when you are together in ritual. So think about like if you go to shul, if you go to a sports game, if you go wherever you take your ritual, your heart beats like synchronizes with other people, but more so if a person stands close to you geographically, your heart will be more synchronized with them. But if someone stands close to you, let's say a meter away from you on the one hand, and someone else on the other side, same geographical distance, but they are close to you emotionally, so they're part of your family, part of your friends, your hearts will synchronize more. Isn't that insane? It's out of your mind that our hearts feel other people's hearts. And it just really kind of like connected for me with that teaching from Yemima, where she says, like, you doing your work on your frequency, that frequency, it resonates with others without you doing anything. So I was just thinking in the framework that we spoke about in the beginning, like about action, emotional engagement, and distancing, that in a way, in the work of like just taking a moment to ourselves, doing the emotional work of coming close, giving warmth, we also do action. It has impact. So that was just like really interesting to me. And I'm going to share with you much more next week from that teaching. But for now, I just want to share one sentence that really caught my attention. So let's write it together. And that sentence is, I am all in this, and I am also in prayers. I am all in this, and I'm also in prayers. Sorry. Um, Next week, we'll read more of this teaching, but this is Yemima saying it was a time there were like a lot of turmoil in that specific year before Pesach. And she says, it's really hard. I know everybody feels it. It's so hard, but I'm letting you know you are doing the work of building. You're doing it not by like running around all the time. You'll do it by grounding. And I'm telling you also, I'm in all of this and I'm also in prayers. And to me, it felt like this is holding the dialectical reality of life, that I can be in this and also in prayers. I'm not detaching myself from reality and just going to prayers and forgetting what's going on. I am attuned and paying attention to my emotions and what I feel and the overwhelm and the pain of myself and others, but I'm also in the prayers. I'm also able to have that other layer and to remember the soul, the frequency, the energy that are life-giving, that are there at the same time. So we are going to stop here. Um, I am asking everybody to write to themselves one Torah to walk with for the week and put it in the chat. That will be our communal commitment. One Torah I'm walking with for the week. It can be a word, it can be a sentence. So please just put it in the chat, and thank you so much for being with us this morning. We are looking forward to anchor with you every Monday morning until Pesach, and the recordings of what we're doing here will be available in the WhatsApp, and you will be also welcome if you want to share more of your insights in the WhatsApp group. So, Bezrat Hashem, it should be a wonderful week for everyone, or at least a bearable week, and we should be in it and in our prayers. Thank you.